interrogated on what you do with your money, it was revealed that they were not only performing risk assessments if they didn't like your account activity, if they found it suspicious, but they were actually demanding documentation for what the money was to be spent on when you tried to go to the bank and withdraw anything over £3,000, which is about $5,000. And they actually, you know, people went to the bank and they were shocked to be bombarded with all these questions about what they were going to do with their own money. After the uproar, they backed down on it, said it wouldn't be mandatory, but they would still ask customers questions about what they would do with their own cash. And several other banks that were contacted by the BBC said exactly the same thing. They said, we reserve the right to ask questions about what you're going to do with your own money, when it's none of their business what you're going to do with your own money. It was never their money to begin with. It's your cash. So it's about this intensification of invasiveness and this war on anonymity.
They're starting to show their true flags. They've hidden this behind the war on drugs, behind the war on organized crime for a very long time. All of this really began back with the RICO statutes, where they said that they could confiscate people's property before they actually found them guilty of a crime. They said, organized crime has the best lawyers money can buy. We can't get a conviction. Therefore, we need to confiscate their money before the trial so they can't hire these good lawyers so we can convict them. Everybody said, yeah, fine. Well, it didn't take very long before they started using that against abortion protesters, the RICO statutes and that sort of thing, and then extended it with civil asset forfeiture, where they could just basically say, your cash is, I think, involved in a crime, or this dog smells some cocaine on your cash, so we're just going to go ahead and take it. They also put in structuring issues in terms of saying that they're fighting money laundering. And, of course, it was just recently that a deputy attorney general for the Justice Department was talking to this association. There's now an entire trade association around anti-money laundering activities. And he was telling them, we want you to report to law enforcement anybody that takes out $5,000 or more. So they vet your cash going in. And if they think that you are structuring your deposits to avoid a lot of onerous reports, they will confiscate your cash on that basis. And then after they've vetted it going in, they don't want you to take it out. If you take it out in a large amount, now you are a criminal suspect. That's the amazing thing. All these restaurant businesses that have legitimate uses of cash, they're getting their cash confiscated in several cases of that. There's a lady who had a restaurant business. She had $30,000 of cash that was confiscated. That sounds like a lot of money to a lot of people, but understand that's not all her money. She's just taking that in cash. She has a lot of expenses she has to pay, rent, payroll, supplies, so she's not keeping all that money. Nevertheless, they just take that money because they say, you got this much cash, you must be involved in a criminal action. Rand Paul and others who are now trying to put through the FAIR Act to stop civil asset forfeiture, one of the aspects of that is structuring to say you're not going to take people's cash just because they've got a lot of it. You have to show that it wasn't derived from a legitimate source, and people have a presumption of innocence. That's where we need to return to.
Yeah, they're imposing those same measures in Europe to an even greater degree. The French finance minister, Michel Sapin, I think this was last month, the new regulations are going to come into force in September, but he hailed their introduction. This is a ban which will restrict French citizens from making cash payments over 1,000 euros. 1,000 euros. So, you know, if you're buying a vehicle on eBay or whatever, you're going to be banned from doing it. It's going to have to be tracked through the whole financial system. Again, in the name of anti-money laundering, anti-terrorism, and anti-suspicious activity. So it seems that the amounts are also coming down in terms of how much you can get out of your bank, how much you can pay in cash before it becomes a suspicious activity. And then the flip side of this, perhaps we can get into this after the break, is the fact that they're now openly saying they will confiscate people's savings to bail out banks in the future, which has now become basically a law in the European Union.
Yeah, actually, when Paul, this guy who was with the Justice Department, was talking to this Association of Money Launderers, he was actually talking about an initiative that they'd put together, a kleptocrat initiative, and they actually had an acronym for it. It was KARI, K-A-R-I. I think it's Kleptocrat Assets Recovery Initiative or something like that. We have a kleptocracy. I'll tell you about that when we come back. We'll be talking to Paul Joseph Watson about the war on cash and about our kleptocratic government that wants to know everything about you and take everything you have. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
So the news breaks. Hillary Clinton's running for president. My buddy Mark says to me, hey, didn't Hillary support the Brady bill and the assault weapons ban? And I'm thinking, yeah, 1992 presidential campaign. Oh, my God, a gun grabber in the White House. So at guns80.com, they've come up with the Hillary Clinton special. They just call it the Hillary. You even get 2 30-round magazines for free, and it's only $474.95 for the whole kit. So get your AR-15 kit and tell Hillary, ha-ha, 8442-GUNS80. That's guns80.com.
The folks at My Patriot Supply get it. They know the world can be unpredictable, and there are some scary things happening right now. The only way we can make sure we maintain our independence, despite the situation, is to take control and get prepared. They've come up with a deal that will help you get prepared for anything. Right now, you can get a 4-week food supply for only $99. That's almost 50% off the online price. Call 800-274-3070 to claim yours while supplies last. Limit 2 per caller. This offer isn't available online, so take advantage of this opportunity to get prepared today. 800-274-3070 to get your 4-week food supply for the incredible price of only $99. Call 800-274-3070 right now. That's 800-274-3070 to claim yours while supplies last.
As if chlorine in our water weren't bad enough, now they're adding ammonia?
It's true. Some municipalities are now adding ammonia plus chlorine to your water supply. It's a disinfectant called chloramine. But with a trusted Big Berkey water filter, you can keep chloramine out of your water. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show EPA Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification. And our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Healthy elimination is essential to high energy, a cheerful mood, and prevention of disease. Some of the founders of our modern holistic health thinking state that disease begins in a toxic colon. A toxic intestinal tract is the foundation for virtually all degenerative disease, and a clean and well-moving intestinal tract is the foundation of health.
I just want to say that you folks have an amazing product. I've taken whey protein products for years, and I've never noticed the results I have with your product. I've suffered with bouts of constipation most of my life. Within a few days of taking One World Whey, I noticed a dramatic change. Also, in the past few years, I've experienced symptoms associated with diabetes. I feel horrible when I've had too much sugar, and I've been getting the foot pain as well. But I've noticed in the past week or so, I'm not feeling bad anymore, and the foot pain is gone. I'm just finishing up a 5-pound tub I ordered and just got off the phone ordering more. I love your product. Thank you.
Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld.com.
Man thinks cause he rules at us, he can do with it as he please. And if things don't change soon, he will.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host, and joining us from the UK is Paul Joseph Watson. We've been talking about the war on cash, and I want to talk about this kleptocrat initiative that's come out with Paul as well. We're also going to talk about his article about the U.S. Army forcing cadets to wear high heels to promote a feminist campaign. Absolutely unbelievable if you see these pictures. Just the absurdity that we're stooping to in this country, the ridiculous agendas that the government is foisting upon people. Before I get back to Paul, I just want to let you know that InfoWars Life Silver Bullet is now 50% off at InfoWarsLife.com. It's the biggest sale we've ever had on Silver Bullet. Of course, that's our powerful 30 parts per million colloidal silver. It's preparedness grade of silver. Right now, you can save $15 per bottle. It's normally $29.95. It's 50% off at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, Paul, as we were talking in the last segment about the various things that have come to light in just the last couple of weeks, there was the Assistant Attorney General who went to the Anti-Money Laundering Trade Association, encouraging them to become snitches on people, report them for taking money out of the bank. They already thoroughly vet the cash going in. They're already using that as an excuse to confiscate cash that people have legitimately under the structuring laws. But he wants people to report if they see more than $5,000 of cash being withdrawn. But he also, Paul, talked about the Kleptocrat Asset Recovery Initiative, something like this called CARRY. In that, Paul, he's bragging about the fact that they find these evil dictators, in other words, people that are not puppets of the American government. And wherever they see their assets, they confiscate them. They call these people kleptocrats, and they say, well, because we've labeled you a kleptocrat, I guess it's kind of like Manuel Noriega was labeled a strong man by George H.W. Bush. We'll label you as a kleptocrat. We'll just confiscate that person's assets wherever we find them. And I have to ask, who is the bigger kleptocrat? The biggest kleptocracy on the planet is the American government, isn't it, Paul?
Well, yeah, and the IMF recently announced a similar program targeting savers. But again, it's about labels. They could label anybody a kleptocrat. They could label anybody a money launderer. Mm-hmm. In fact, in Europe, they label anyone with over 100,000 euros savings as wealthy. That's what they did in Cyprus, where they forced people to take a, quote, haircut, euphemism for wealth confiscation, of 47.5% of any of their savings over 100,000 euros. And they were, quote, taxing the wealthy. I mean, 100,000 euros that's basically a small business owner, somebody who could have just sold their house and got 100,000 euros in profit. That's not a wealthy person. That's ridiculous to even use that term. But now the EU has passed this law where they say the next bank bailout will be paid for by bondholders and savers. So again, anything over 100,000 euros will be swiped, will be confiscated. They already passed this law. They're pushing for similar laws in New Zealand, Canada, and other countries. So why in the hell would anybody want to have any significant amount of money in a bank when they've already promised, passed laws and already done it in some countries to swipe that money completely to anything over 100,000 euros?
Exactly. That's why they're not,
you're not making any interest on it to begin with, so why bother?
That's right. You said, why would anybody want to have their money in the bank? And that's precisely why Citibank, JP Morgan, and the government are conspiring together to find ways to outlaw cash, to abolish it, to get rid of it. One of the things, Paul, you said they can label anybody as a kleptocrat. They can find something on anybody, and that's really what's at the heart of them monitoring everything that we do. I mean, when we talked to Barrett Brown, remember? They labeled him as threatening an FBI agent when he quoted a death threat made by a Fox News commentator against Julian Assange. When he quoted that on Twitter, they said, you're threatening an FBI agent. So they are constantly watching everything that you do. They can and they do misconstrue what you say or do as a false charge to confiscate your cash, to do anything that they want to you. That's really what's behind the constant police state. It's kind of like what Stalin, I think, said, bring me the man, I'll find the crime. If they want to get you because you're a political enemy, or if they think that you've got cash that they can steal, they will find a reason to do it. That's what's behind this constant surveillance about everything that we do.
Yeah, and they put people on terror watch lists for the most innocuous, reasons. What is it, over 1 million Americans? The point is, the FDIC says it can insure up to $250,000, but studies have proven that if there are 500 or more bank closures, which could happen in the aftermath of an economic collapse, they don't have the funds to cover that insurance. So those guarantees are virtually useless in a climate of financial panic.
And
so why anyone would have any significant amount of money in a bank is beyond me. It makes no sense given what they've done and what they promised to do.
Exactly. We'll be right back. Paul Joseph Watson from the UK. Stay with us.